Hi, Dr. Chanin asked me if I could share a little bit of my reading life with the kids at ASB. So I was just going to start off and just tell a story about when I was 24 years old. In my first year of teaching, I often went to the Walla Walla Public Library and tried reading different things. that wasn't literate early in my life, but later on when I found out I could actually choose what I wanted to read instead of having it handed to me in a class, I really started liking it. So I went to this librarian and I said, do you have any poems or poetry books by poets that are still alive? And so she took me to the poetry section, and then she pulled out this book right here. It's The Business of Fancy Dancing by Sherman Alexie. And right away, I said to myself, I know a Sherman Alexie, but it couldn't be that guy because he's like 2 years older than me. He couldn't be an author. So I opened it up, and sure enough, it was Sherman Alexie, who grew up about, I'd say about 30 miles away from my small town of Harrington. And then I later moved to another small town called Ritzville, and we played against Reardon. And Sherman was the only Native American who played for the Reardon Indians. And so I started reading his poetry, really interested because I figured I could identify with a lot of it. And I could. Sherman was a great basketball player, and he loved playing basketball, and there's a lot of basketball in his writing. And so I connected with that right away. And I thought, wow, you know, if he can write, so could I. So I read his stuff, and when you read it, it's just pretty cool and pretty inspiring. And I thought, you know, how hard could it be? Well, it's hard, and I can't write like Sherman Alexie, and you can't either. But I just wanted to read a little bit of Sherman Alexie, and this is part of a poem called Defending Walt Whitman. Basketball is like this for Walt Whitman. He watches these Indian boys as if they were the last bodies on earth. Every body is brown. Walt Whitman shakes because he believes in God. Walt Whitman dreams of the Indian boy who will defend him, trapping him in the corner, all flailing arms and legs and legendary stomach muscles. Walt Whitman shakes because he believes in God. Walt Whitman dreams of the first jump shot he will take, the ball arcing clumsily from his fingers, striking the rim so hard that it sparks. Walt Whitman shakes because he believes in God. Walt Whitman closes his eyes. He is a small man, and his beard is ludicrous on the reservation, absolutely insane. His beard makes the Indian boys laugh righteously. His beard frightens the smallest Indian boys. His beard tickles the skin of the Indian boys who dribble past him. His beard, his beard. God, there is beauty in everybody. Walt Whitman stands at the center court while the Indian boys run from basket to basket. Walt Whitman cannot tell the difference between offense and defense. He does not care if he touches the ball. Half the Indian boys wear t-shirts damp with sweat, and the other half are bareback, skin slick and shiny. There is no place like this. Walt Whitman smiles. Walt Whitman shakes. This game belongs to him. And so when I started reading Sherman, reading his poetry, I started reading other poets and reading a lot about other poets, and I always thought, you know, I would really like to meet Sherman. So since then, my parents have went to one of his readings and met him. My godson's parents have met him at their school in Seattle. My university professor has introduced him at the International Reading Conference, and yet I haven't been able to find him or to catch up with him. And I always thought someday, you know, I would just like to say, you know, Sherman, I just want you to know that I appreciate your writing because you started me into a literate life, and there's just nothing better than that. In fact, this is Sherman, in case you're Googling yourself. This is the bookmark from our wedding, and on the back it has a Walt Whitman quotation. Camarado, I give you my hand. I give you my love more precious than money. I give you myself before preaching or law. Will you give me yourself? Will you come travel with me? Shall we stick by each other as long as we live? That's from Walt Whitman. So Sherman, in case I never catch up with you, and in case you do Google yourself, I'd just like to say thank you for introducing me to William Carlos Williams, because if I wouldn't have found a live poet, I wouldn't have been able to read about the dead ones either. Terry Zipf, who you may know. Lucille Clifton, thank you very much. Craig Leslie, awesome. Mary Carr. And of course, Walt Whitman, David James Duncan, and especially William Stafford, who I read probably every month of my life. I open William Stafford and read him again. And I think if I wouldn't have been able to connect with you living in a small town, about my age, loving to play basketball, I might have missed all of that. So thank you very much. And Sherman, if you ever decide to come looking for me, I'm here. I'm in India, and I'm waiting. See ya.